For fans of The Big Bang Theory, few moments in the series hold as much emotional gravity as the sight of Sheldon Cooper winning the Nobel Prize. It was the apex of a decade-long journey, scientific, emotional, and deeply personal. Fast forward, or backward, depending on how you look at it, to young Sheldon's Season 6 finale, and we find ourselves staring down the barrel of that same emotional rifle. With the careful placement of dialogue, cinematography, and symbolism, the finale doesn't just nod to its predecessor, it reaches across time to shake hands with it. At its core, young Sheldon is a story of becoming. It's not just about how a boy genius navigates small-town Texas and the social pitfalls of high school. It's about the emotional stitching behind the mind. How trauma, family, faith, and intellect knit together to create the neurotic, brilliant, and oddly lovable Sheldon we eventually meet in The Big Bang Theory. A storm is coming. Literally and figuratively, the finale of Season 6 is appropriately titled, A Tornado, a 10-hour flight and a darn fine ring. Each element of that title holds emotional and narrative weight, but the metaphorical tornado sweeping through the episode is perhaps the most telling. On the surface, it refers to the literal weather event threatening Medford, Texas, adding urgency and chaos. But at a deeper level, the tornado reflects the turbulence within Sheldon's emotional world. His family is fracturing, his future is accelerating, and childhood is rapidly slipping through his fingers. In The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon often spoke of his childhood in cryptic, traumatized snippets. Mentions of his father's death, his complicated relationship with his siblings, and the sense of intellectual isolation that defined him. The finale starts to crystallize some of those memories. In one poignant scene, Sheldon prepares to leave for Caltech. There's no fanfare, no parade of congratulations. His departure feels eerily quiet, solemn, a sharp contrast to the magnitude of the moment. This stillness, this quiet departure, is a powerful callback to The Big Bang Theory, particularly the Nobel Prize acceptance scene. Just as adult Sheldon struggles to find the right words in front of a global audience, young Sheldon finds it difficult to process the magnitude of what he's doing, leaving home, family, and familiarity behind to step into the unknown. The voice that ties time together, the most obvious, and most moving, callback is the narration by Jim Parsons, the original Sheldon. Throughout young Sheldon, Parsons' narration has served as a guide, offering both humorous observations and emotional insight. But in this finale, his words take on an especially haunting tone. As young Sheldon boards a plane to Caltech, we hear adult Sheldon reflecting on that moment as one of the most significant days of his life. His voice cracks, not literally, but emotionally. I was leaving Texas, my family, my childhood. I didn't realize it at the time, but that was the moment I truly began the journey that would lead me to the Nobel Prize. And just like that, the narrative loop closes. We understand that Sheldon, with all his eccentricities and compulsions, is not simply the result of genius. He is the product of sacrifice, love, grief, and time. A mirror to the Nobel moment in The Big Bang Theory's penultimate episode, Sheldon accepts the Nobel Prize in physics. He stands at a podium, facing the world, and for once, he doesn't talk about himself. Instead, he thanks his friends, his found family. It's a stunning moment of self-awareness and growth. In young Sheldon's finale, we witness the seed of that growth being planted. There's a moment when Mary, Sheldon's mother, gives him a ring, a family heirloom once worn by his father, George Sr., the same ring he would eventually wear when he accepts his Nobel Prize. That simple object becomes a narrative talisman. It connects past and future, grief and triumph. In The Big Bang Theory, we see Sheldon fidget with the ring before stepping up to the podium. Now we know its origin. We understand its emotional weight. This visual callback, combined with the narration, is storytelling at its finest. It's not a lazy Easter egg, it's a thread woven with intent, binding two Sheldons across time. A family in transition. The Cooper family, in this finale, is in the midst of several transitions. Missy is acting out, Mary is grasping for control, and George Sr. seems to be emotionally withdrawing, foreshadowing the heartbreak that fans know is coming. Unlike other sitcom finales that aim for closure, this one opts for realism. The story doesn't wrap up with a bow. It ends with a beginning. Sheldon leaves, the storm passes, and life, irreversibly, moves on. It's heartbreaking in a way that sitcoms rarely are, and that's where young Sheldon sets itself apart. While its origin show found humor in geekdom and absurdity, young Sheldon has always aimed for emotional resonance, especially with those who grew up feeling othered for being different. The beauty of retrospective character development. This kind of inter-series callback works only because young Sheldon respects its source material. It doesn't try to overwrite The Big Bang Theory, it deepens it. By adding nuance to Sheldon's childhood, it reframes his adult quirks not as comedic affectations, but as coping mechanisms rooted in very real pain and longing. We now understand why Sheldon is obsessed with structure. He grew up in a house where emotional chaos reigned. We see why he clings to his mother's faith, even as he dismisses it intellectually. It was the only spiritual anchor during his upbringing. And when he thanks Amy and his friends during his Nobel speech, we understand just how hard-won that humility was. Final thoughts. The Young Sheldon Season 6 finale is more than just a transitional episode. It's a masterclass in narrative symmetry. It honors the past while enriching the present. Through careful callbacks, emotional echoes, and symbolic artifacts, it bridges two Sheldons, two vastly different stages of life, into one coherent character arc. And in doing so, it gives fans of both shows something rare, a sense of completion, not in the sense that Sheldon's story is over, but in the sense that we now truly see him. Not just as the brilliant physicist or the precocious child, but as the full human being forged by time, trauma, and ultimately, love. Would you like this adapted for a blog, newsletter, or in a different tone, e.g., humorous, more emotional, more analytical?